Okay, so good morning, everyone. So let's begin with the. I think in the last class I have stopped at the discussion on the Pelton wheel. What is the Pelton wheel? We have seen the what hydraulic schematic representation of hydroelectric power plant. These things I'll just have a look at it. So the layout of hydroelectric power plant, necessity of surge tank, classification of hydraulic turbine, impulse, the difference between impulse and reaction turbine, Pelton wheel, how the Pelton wheel works, what are the buckets, why it is called as tangential flow turbine. All these things we have seen in the last class. Now in this class, I will be going to the analysis part of the Pelton wheel. So whenever we say the analysis part is now, so here you will be studying the velocity triangles for the Pelton wheel. I think a little bit introduction I had given in the last class about the velocity triangles. So I will just revise that and then we'll further we'll start the things. Okay. So let us say these are the buckets of the Pelton wheel, and this is the jet which hits this. This here you can see here what it is called as splitter. This is the splitter. These are the buckets here. These are the buckets and this is the splitter. So whenever that the jet will hit this splitter, and the jet will divide into two. The single jet will go through the circumferential part of the splitter and becomes a two division will takes place when it hits the splitter here. So the jet will go through this and it will make a thing here. Okay. So now, since I already said that it is a tangential flow turbine, it is a tangential flow turbine. So therefore, what we can say here, if this is a tangential flow turbine, there are some velocity components you should know here. So this is V1, absolute jet velocity, U, blade velocity, VW1, this we have said it is tangential velocity, VR1, relative velocity, VF, flow velocity. If I write the subscript as 1, then it is called as inlet triangles. Inlet triangle. And if I use the subscript 2, that means it is outlet triangle. So you should know what is inlet triangle and outlet triangle. So if I am using the subscript as 1, then it is inlet triangle. And if I'm using the subscript as 2, then it is the outlet triangle. Okay, so for that reason, so let us say this is the splitter which I'm drawing it again because I needed the space there. So these are what? Buckets or the veins of or the blades of Pelton wheel, and the jet will come, the jet will hit this splitter. This is called as a splitter. Okay, the jet will hit the splitter. So here I'll split this as U1, VR1, and this is V1 equal to VW1. So this is your inlet velocity triangle. So now this jet will go from here and it will hit like this. So let us say this is your V2 and this is your relative velocity VR2 and this is your flow velocity VF2. This is alpha 2 and this is beta. Yeah, here I have to represent what is alpha. Alpha is called as nozzle angle and beta is called as blade angle. This is your velocity triangles for inlet and outlet. Okay. So this is the representation of inlet and outlet velocity triangles. Now coming to why we need to study this outlet or inlet velocity. What is velocity triangles here? See here, I already explained it in the last class that there is a jet which hits the some turbine, some blade. Let us say it will hit some blade. There is a jet which hits the blade. So let us say this jet is coming from a nozzle. Okay, the jet is coming out from a nozzle. So the nozzle is at an angle of alpha. This is called as nozzle angle, which I have written here. The nozzle angle which I have written here, that is the angle alpha here. This is the angle alpha, which is at which it is inletting the jet. The jet is going through the nozzle angle alpha. So this is V1. This is alpha 1. So now can I, if this is alpha 1 and this is V1, can I resolve the V1 and V1 into horizontal and vertical components? Yes, I can do that because V velocity is a vector quantity. And since it's a vector quantity, I can resolve it into horizontal and as well as vertical components. So for that reason, this becomes V1 cos alpha 1 and this becomes your V1 sin alpha 1. Okay. So what is V1 cos alpha 1? I said that it is VW1. That is whirl velocity 1. And V1 sin alpha 1 is called as VF1, flow velocity 1. So I had given you the explanation for VF and VW. So this explanation is over now. So V1 explanations also had given here. What is U? So when this jet hits the blade will move or it will stay like that only. It has to move now. At what velocity it is moving? It is moving with the velocity of U, blade velocity of U. So V1 is the jet velocity and U is the blade velocity with which the turbine rotates. So this now I had given you the explanation for U also. So this explanation I have already given you in the last class, that it is called as relative velocity. The relative velocity of blade with respect to jet. Now you please go through that last session again. It becomes a 10 to 15 minutes explanation for the relative velocity only. Go through the last session. What is the relative velocity? You'll get to know. So the relative velocity is what it is with of blade with respect to jet. So the relative velocity is of blade. It is therefore there should be some blade factor. Therefore we are considering beta here. What is beta? Blade angle. So whenever we say that relative velocity, it comes with the angle beta, that is blade angle. So because that itself confirms that the relative velocity is of blade with respect to jet. Since it is of blade, we have to consider a blade factor, which is the blade angle, which we have considered here, and that is with the jet. So this is the explanation for the all the things which is over here. Okay, what is this blade angle at which it is the blade is being tilted. The fan has some blade angle. The exhaust fan has some blade angles. All the blade angle, all the turbo machines has some blade angles with which it will make a tilt. If it is that blade angle is not there, you will not get that blow. So that is the blade angle over here. And this is 165. This also have said that is called as angle of deflection. So this is the blade. This is the geometric design of a Pelton wheel, where it has got some deflection angle which is of 165 degree. That also we have I'm not talking about over here. So these all things are represented in this. a very neatly in a representation, in a neat representation. It has been shown in the diagram. You can go through that. I have not represented here. So this is VW2 and this is Q2. This is important here. You should know the velocity triangles for a Pelton wheel, otherwise it becomes difficult for you. Okay, so these are the things. With that things, let's start the derivation of the work done. Okay, so all the explanation which I have already said, those all explanation are over here. Okay, so from the inlet velocity triangle, one can say this is the inlet velocity triangle. This is inlet, this is outlet. Outlet triangles, inlet triangle. So in the inlet triangle, we can say here what? Alpha 1 is 0, beta 1 is 0, V1 equal to VW1, VR1 equal to V1 minus U1, and V1 equal to root 2GH if we consider CV equal to 1. So V1 is equal to root 2GH. Okay, so these are the basic formula. Same way from the outlet velocity triangle, draw here only. From the outlet velocity triangle, what we can write here? VR2 equal to VR1 because we are considering no friction over the blade. So here one more thing we should understand, the K. This is called as friction factor. What is this friction factor? K is given by, it is the ratio of relative velocity VR2 at outlet by relative velocity at outlet by relative velocity at inlet. VR2 by VR1. If I say K is equal to 1, that means what? VR2 is equal to VR1. That is what is shown here. VR2 equal to VR1. That is equal to, what is VR2 equal to here? From this VR1 is what? V1 minus U. VR2 equal to VR1 equal to V1 minus U1. That is from the inlet velocity triangle. U1, VR1, V1 equal to VW1. So this is your inlet velocity triangle. So we can write here what is V1, VR1, what is VR1 here? VR1 equal to V1 minus U. So that I have shown you V1 minus U1. Okay. So what is VW2 then? VW2. What is VW2 here? This is the VW2 here. How can I write VW2 here? Can I write, if this is VR2, can I make this VR2 beta 2 it is? This is beta 2, this is VR2. So can I write this as VR2 cos beta 2? Yes. So this whole becomes what then? This whole becomes VR2 cos beta 2. Yes, if I resolve the VR2 into horizontal direction. So this becomes VR2 cos beta 2 minus U2. VR2 cos beta 2 minus U. We can make this U1, U2 as same only. Blade velocity will remain same. U1, U2. So therefore, VR2 cos beta 2 minus U. Okay. Now coming to the force, Fx is equal to rho A V1 VW1 plus VW2. This is called as the force exerted by jet in the direction of motion of the runner, or the horizontal force which we can talk about. That is given by rho A V1 VW1 plus VW2. So that is what force. What is force? Basically mass into acceleration. Mass into acceleration. The mass is given by what? Rho A V1. Rho A V1 gives you the discharge. Yes, A into V1. A into V1. What? Q is equal to what? AV. Q equal to AV. Q is equal to A into V. Therefore, we can write this M as what? M is equal to A into V. That is what? Kg per meter cube we can say. Sorry, M is equal A into V give you the discharge. So M, if I multiply this discharge with density, rho AV gives you the mass flow rate. This gives you the mass flow rate, or that is what kg per second. This is A into V1 gives you meter cube per second. This is volume into density gives you the mass kg per second. And why we are using VW1 plus VW2? Because the tangential, since it is a tangential flow turbine, only the tangential velocity component gives you the force produced. The other things will not give you the force produced. So we are writing rho A V1 VW1 plus or minus VW2. Okay. Now what is torque? Torque is force into radius. So torque is force into radius. So I can write this as what? Rho A V1 VW1 plus or minus VW2 into R. Yes. And what is power? But power is equal to T into omega. So what is torque? We just wrote the torque as rho A V1 VW1 plus or minus VW2 into R into omega. Into R into omega. So what is R into omega gives you? We know that U is equal to pi dN. Yes. So pi dN, U is equal to pi d. Sorry, U is equal to pi dN. Correct? So pi into pi dN is nothing but omega into R. So omega into R will get it as what? U. So therefore we can write P is equal to rho A V1 VW1 plus or minus VW2 into R into omega gives you U. This is your power. Okay. So using that, now lastly, this is nothing but your power. So if we want it for work done, power or work done expression, this is important. They will ask you for the power or work done expression. I want you to like, what is this? How will get pi dN equal to omega R? So first you should say why pi U is equal to pi dN first. Why U is equal to pi dN? How can we get this U is equal to pi dN? That is first thing here. And how can we convert pi dN into omega into R? These are the two things here. What is omega? Angular velocity. That only you don't know, I guess. Omega is angular velocity. So how can we get U equal to omega R? Okay, this you should know here. So here, always remember, if we want to convert angular velocity into linear velocity, so we always multiply the angular velocity with the radius. If we multiply the angular velocity with radius, we will get the linear velocity. U is a linear velocity. Angular velocity into radius gives you the linear velocity. Now, can I represent this R as d by 2? Yes. And what is angular velocity? Let us say, if there is a particle over here, it moves from here to here and completes one revolution. Okay. So for one revolution, this is the thing here. If it for one revolution, it makes 2 or 360-degree angle. For one revolution, a particle makes 360-degree angle. That is 2 pi. For n revolution, how much it makes? For n revolution, it makes 2 pi n revolution. 2 pi n revolution. 2 pi n velocity. 2 pi n degrees. So 2 pi n gives you the omega. 2 pi n is nothing but your angular velocity. Okay. So 2 pi n. So therefore I am representing this over here. Let it be R only. So I can write it as U is equal to omega is what then? 2 pi n R. So what is 2R gives you? 2 into R gives you twice of the radius. What is twice of the radius? Pi d. Yeah. Is it okay now? So we can write U is equal to pi d n then? Yes. So U is equal to pi d n omega R. So work done or power is equal to rho A V1 VW1 plus VW2 into U. Okay. So this is work done expression. Okay. Lastly, the hydraulic efficiency. This is important here. What do you mean by hydraulic efficiency? Work done by turbine to the available energy at inlet. Work done by the turbine, available energy or the kinetic energy at the inlet. So what we can write here? So work done by the runner is, we have know already this. What is work done? Rho A V1 U VW1 plus or minus VW2. This is the work done by the turbine. This is work done by turbine. Okay, rho A V1 VW1 plus VW2 into U. This is the work done by the turbine. And what is the inlet energy? It will be the, of course, kinetic energy. So kinetic energy is given by what? Half m V1 square. How can I write m? Half rho A V1 into V1 square. Okay. And what is the work done? Rho A V1 VW1 plus or minus VW2 into U. So this becomes what? Rho A V1 goes off. So remaining is what? 2U VW1 plus VW2 by V1 square. Yes. This is what? 2U VW1 plus VW2 by V1 square. This is the hydraulic efficiency of the turbine. Okay. So okay. So lastly, this the next part is the how to increase the maximum efficiency, condition for maximum efficiency. Conditions for maximum efficiency. So for that reason, if we want to find the maximum efficiency, then we have to consider all the practical conditions. Here we have considered the friction factor to be equal to 1. But in the option, like in practice or in practical sense, the friction factor cannot be equal to 1. There should be some friction. If we consider the friction factor is 1, that means there is no friction here. So for that reason, there should be the friction always. There will be, in practical sense, there will be the friction when the water jets goes through the blades. There is the friction generated. So if we consider the effect of friction, then we can derive what is the maximum hydraulic efficiency. We can see here K is equal to VR2 by VR1, and we are saying that K is not equal to 1. If K is not equal to 1, then VR2 is not equal to VR1. VR2 is not equal to VR1. So therefore, from the velocity triangles, VW1 equal to VR1 plus U1 and VW2 equal to VR2 cos beta 2 minus U2. We can see here from VW1 equal to VR1 plus U1 and VW2 is equals to, this is your VW2. VW2 is equal to VR2 cos beta 2 minus U. That I have already done it. VR2 cos beta 2 minus U. This is U. Okay. So VR2 cos beta 2 is this. VR2 cos beta 2 minus U gives you the this is VW2, VR2 cos beta 2. So this is U. So this becomes what? VR2 cos beta 2 minus U gives you VW2. So VW2 is VR2 cos beta 2 minus U. Okay. So VW1, VW2 and K. So same way I'm representing this Fx rho A V1 VR1 plus U plus K VR1 cos beta 2 minus U2. We want what Fx is equal to rho A V1 VW1 plus VW2. What is VW1 here? The VW1 is VR1 plus U1 that I have represented here. And what is VW2? VR2 cos beta 2 minus U. But what is VR2? VR2 is equal to K into VR1. So that I am representing it as K into VR1 cos beta 2 minus U. So U will stay. So omega R. U is equal to omega R that we have already proved it. So rho A V1 VR1 plus KVR1 cos beta 2. This and this will cancel because both are same. U1 is equal to U2 is equal to U. So therefore we can write VR1 plus KVR1 cos beta 2. So therefore cos Fx becomes rho A V1 VR1. If I take VR1 outside, what is remaining here? 1 plus k cos beta 2. But what is VR1? V1 minus u. So that I am representing it as rho a V1, V1 minus u, 1 plus k cos beta 2. Okay, so T is equal to force into radius. So T is equal to rho a V1, V1 minus u, 1 plus k cos beta 2 by into R. So P is equal to T omega, rho a V1, V1 minus u, 1 plus R omega, rho a V1 u. So this becomes what? For the rho a V1, this cancels. So this is your hydraulic efficiency with friction effect. Okay, so now hydraulic efficiency is 2u V1 minus u, 1 plus k cos beta 2 V1 divided by V1 square. Now to get the condition for maximum hydraulic efficiency. So to get the maximum hydraulic efficiency, what you do? Differentiate hydraulic efficiency with respect to u and equate it to 0. So if I want to differentiate hydraulic efficiency, so what is referring here? All this is a constant here, 1 plus k cos beta 2 by V1 square. This whole thing becomes a constant because it is out of the expression. So I can write it as 1 plus k cos beta 2 whole divided by V1 square into differentiation of u with respect to 2u V1 minus u whole divided by, oh, nothing here, 2u V1 minus u. So first you multiply this inside. That becomes what? Differentiation of u with respect to 2u V1 minus u square. So that becomes what? Differentiation of du. Sorry, this is not required here. So this becomes what? If I differentiate this, 2v1 minus 2u is equals to 0. 2v1 minus, sorry, 2uv1, 2u square it is. So 4u, 2v1 minus 4u. This I think v1 is keeping outside. Differentiation of u becomes 1. Differentiation of u square is 2u. So we can write 2v1 minus 4u. So that becomes 2v1 equal to 4u. So 2 by 4 is equal to u by v1. So 1 by 2. Or we can say v1 is equal to 2u. This is the condition for maximum hydraulic efficiency. This is the condition for maximum hydraulic efficiency. Now substitute it back in this expression. So you will get what? Beta h is equal to 2u v1 minus u 1 plus k cos beta 2 k cos beta 2 whole divided by v1 square. Okay, so for maximum hydraulic efficiency, substitute v1 equal to 2u or v1 equal to anything is fine. 2u, v1 equal to 2u minus u 1 plus k cos beta 2 whole divided by 2u the whole square. So that becomes what? 2u square. 2u minus u becomes u into u, 2u square k cos beta 2 whole divided by 4u square. U square goes off, 2 ones are 2 2s are. So what is the maximum hydraulic efficiency then? So the maximum hydraulic efficiency is 1 plus k cos beta 2 whole divided by 2. This is the condition for maximum hydraulic efficiency. Hope that you have understood this. Oh, that has vector. Okay, fine. So that is the condition for maximum hydraulic efficiency. Okay, have you understood? So yeah, some of the efficiencies over here. hydraulic efficiency, mechanical efficiency, volumetric efficiency, and overall efficiency. Just go through these things, these formulas. So guys, any doubts? If you have any doubts, please raise your hands such that I can help it out. Otherwise, we can end the session. When I was not taking class, everybody was saying that I am not taking class. Now, when I started taking the classes, nobody, like only 8 students are there. So I will just raise this complaint to your class teacher. Let's say what will take the actions. Anything? Anybody doubts? No doubts? Yeah. From tomorrow's class, we'll start with the problems on the Pelton wheel. So by that we can complete the Pelton wheel. Okay. So till then, be safe, stay safe. Have a good day. Bye.